years, I've really had the opportunity to work with Dr. Liu, and she's really formed me as a scholar because she supported me and really has instilled in me more confidence. Before, I didn't really know where I was going to go with my research or how far I could take it, and so now I'm looking at it more as a graduate school project for maybe my master's and also my PhD.
Marcel helped me grow the most as a scholar by showing me how to pay attention to detail and to also notice how different structures of oppression inform and reinforce one another in terms of women's struggles, transgender struggles, and also the struggles of different races and how they relate to one another.
Dr. Haberman led me down the path of research and made me aware of how much I absolutely love research and I love the STEM field.
So my mentor introduced me to doing research. So he approached me and asked that I wanted to do research in sports psychology. Prior to that, I had no background or even idea on how to conduct research, so it was great to be introduced to that. And from there out, I became a McNair scholar, and things kind of just sprouted from there. So without my mentor, I would have never been part of the McNair Scholars Department.
Dr. Goldschmidt was the first person that introduced me to the research world. He was my first research methods professor, and he was such a great teacher and so passionate about the field, and then he gave me the opportunity to work with him even though I had no experience in research. And then he shared all his knowledge and everything about how to conduct good research, and he was always available to help me, to guide me, and to support me throughout the process, and as well as allow me to work as an independent student. So I'm really thankful for everything he did while I was working with him.
When I first came to college, I was a really, really terrible writer, and through all of the really dense and long philosophy books I've had to read, I've gotten so much better at writing. But not just that, but just articulating things that are important to me. And so it's helped me a lot with my practice of describing my work and understanding it.
My mentor helped me grow as a scholar, mainly through the process of understanding how research worked. It was my first research experience, so I really didn't know what I was doing or what I was getting into, but she gave me all the tools that I needed to succeed and really understand the importance of what I was doing.
My mentor has helped me think outside the box with architecture and understand that it's much more than just the technical aspects. There's much more to be considered.
I have not been experienced through the interview process or anything of that sort, so with our qualitative data, he has taught me all that kind of stuff, how to code interviews and all that sort of expertise. And then with that, he's just really made it explicit on how the research process works and how to accumulate that sort of data within this field. In prior years, I did more quantitative data, so it's very different, but he made it very easy to accumulate and assimilate to that sort of research process.
Man, Dr. Espin was the person who taught me how to contextualize and how to not make blanket statements, because it's those blanket statements that ultimately end up oppressing people. So he kind of taught me how to, focus in and not, leave anyone unheard.
So my mentor really has sharpened my critical thinking abilities. So he's very adamant about my work, and he reads through it with a fine-tooth comb and lets me know anything that's out of place. And that's a trait that I've kind of picked up and really applied to any work that I do. I make sure that it's perfect because that's how my mentor taught me how to do it. And besides that, he's really expanded my mind. As far as reading, comprehension, research methodology, anything, you name it, the Dobbs has taken a part in it.
Not only was Dr. Haberman a fantastic mentor, but in all aspects of my life, he's given me advice and has really made me appreciate the time that I've had here at USD.
I probably would say she definitely has taught me work ethic, and not only in conducting research with her, but the classes that I've had, definitely had to work hard, and wasn't easy, but I've definitely grown as a person in my work ethic.
So they helped me grow as a person through the process of not just research, but also applying for graduate school and before graduate school trying to figure out where I wanted to go and what I really wanted to do. I was really clueless in the beginning, and going through those conversations and having the talks that we did really helped me decide and figure out where I wanted to go.
As a person, well, I definitely see elements of leadership that I definitely want to take and then emulate in my professional life and career. Working in the lab has given me a good idea of like what kind of work environment I would want to be in. The lab we're currently in is very collaborative, very open, and there's just like a lot of exchange of ideas going on, and it's a really good environment. So those are things I'll definitely take with me when going on job searches and stuff.
She allows me space to fail, and so when I do fail, it's not that it's a failure, but that it just teaches me, or it gives me a sensibility of what I think is right or what I think is wrong. And there are a lot of possibilities that come with failure too, and I think that was something that was really hard for me to learn. And so yeah, she pushed me to be just a curious person, to ask questions and to be okay with not finding an answer.
Marcel helped me grow into myself, I think, by being an example of somebody who's just grounded in their own being and who went through like a journey to get there. And she just has this aura of just knowing who she is, you know, and having become herself through being true to herself. And I feel like that doesn't always come easy, especially in like a world that tells you what you should be, especially if you're a woman of color. And I think that Marcel has this way of just breaking chains all the time in everything she does, you know, institutionally and like personally. Marcel is just poetry. She's just so beautiful.
I didn't really think I was going to go to grad school after I graduated. It really wasn't on my radar. But after working with her, I've really been able to see that the research I've been doing is really exemplary to use in grad school. So really instilling that confidence as a researcher and as a future graduate student.
So he was always there for me, not only as a mentor but also as a friend. So I learned a lot from him, how to be humble and also how to be a hard worker, and how to do the best that you can and still keep yourself together.
As a person, he's helped me grow in a number of ways. More specifically and primarily is just how to overcome obstacles. There's constantly things that come up and arise that sort of hinder or throw a roadblock in between the research process, whether that's getting better sort of data or getting more interviewees, paperwork that needs to be filled out, permission slips that need to be obtained. So all of those sort of hinder, but he made it very clear to just keep pushing through and find ways to navigate around those and conquer the challenge.
But as a person, he was a father, and he helped me realize what it would take as a man of color to continue to move upward, you know, in this society, let alone in this field. So he, as a person, he taught me how to stay strong through the obstacles that I faced.
Patient.
Sublime.
Passionate.
Supportive.
Warm-hearted.
Inspiring.
Inquisitive.
Guiding.
Fuerte.
Thank you, Marcel. I love you so much.
Thank you, Dr. DeHaan.
Thank you, Juliana.
Thank you, Dr. Hills. Thank you, Victoria, for being the best mentor ever.
Thank you. Always all my life I will be thankful for your mentorship and also your friendship.
Thank you!
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Esme.
Thank you, Nadav.